Welcome to the Rise Above Show presented by RoofCON. My name is Diego Dante, and I'm thrilled to bring you inspiring conversations with some of the most innovative and bright minds in our industry. From business and entrepreneurship to personal development and growth, we'll explore the strategies, insights, and stories that have helped our guests rise above challenges, overcome adversity, and achieve their goals. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey of empowerment, inspiration, and discovery. This is the Rise Above Show. All right, welcome to the Rise Above Show presented by RoofCON. My name is Diego Dante. I'm super excited about this episode today. We were going to do this a few weeks ago, had some stuff come up, and we weren't able to make it happen, so I'm excited to get to make this happen today. With the Roofle team, got Travis, Mike on the team, or on the video today, and I'm just excited to chat with them because I did a demo of their product, and I was like, oh, wow, this is super cool, because I've seen their logo. In fact, when I was running a roofing company, I think I told you guys this, I saw your ad pop up, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and I did a demo of it, and so I've seen your name around for a while, but I was like, hey, this is like, we got to do a second demo here a few weeks back, and I was kind of blown away by all the stuff you guys had added on since we had spoken last, because I believe at RoofCon last year you guys really switched up your whole strategy and everything else, and but beyond that, like, I enjoy following you guys on Facebook. Mike always killing it with the social media content. He likes to say he's not an influencer, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's not quite the case. I think people enjoy following you, man. So good to have you guys.
Thanks for having us. That's great.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, and so okay, let's kick this off. So let's start with talking about the product, because I think that's going to give us a good just a good background of, you know, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. What the heck is Roofle?
Yeah, it's becoming more of the question of what isn't it anymore as we continue to build out more and more features as we look towards what the future is in roofing and what is to come as far as the future in roofing. Really our end goal is essentially e-commerce in the roofing space. We do have some big products that have been released along the way that have become very, very valuable for contractors to be able to use in their day-to-day business. And if we want to think back 5-6 years ago when this very, very first started, and kind of started that journey and work our way towards where we are now, it's kind of a story in itself to really talk about. So, you know, back when I was essentially running a roofing company, and there was myself and my other team members that basically said, like, what's the next biggest thing to come into roofing? And we were going through all these different things, and, you know, we were kind of already doing one of those things, which is essentially kind of like virtual selling. Basically not going to the home, but doing things off of aerial imagery and things like that, where we're not actually going to the home. Now, this was back in 2019. This is pre-COVID. And even before then, we've always been very, very innovative as far as using like virtual reality when they first came out to actually redesign somebody's house using virtual reality. We put the goggles on the homeowner, and they'd be able to select these different products and see their house in virtual reality. So we've always been very, very innovative in those ways as far as what's the next thing to come and be more streamlined in the industry. And then we thought of essentially e-commerce. Well, how do we do that? So we essentially drew it out, whiteboarded it. We said, hey, this looks realistic. We can actually build this out. So we started with, obviously, what's the first part that the homeowner wants is some sort of instant quote. Let's get them started in the process. Give them something now to get them hungry for the next part of the process. So that's really where it started, was essentially like the instant quote feature, to where they can go on there, enter their address, see their roof outline, play with their roof outline, change things if they want to, be very, very interactive. So then they feel very, very comfortable with going to the next step, which would then be falling down the path. So deposits, doing all that stuff 100% online right through our website by giving them all the features they wanted. Instant quote, visualizers, a catalog they could browse from, answer a few questions to get to the checkout process, and then essentially be able to buy right there online. So we took that and we said, okay, We did it for a couple of years. The consumer is hungry for it. The consumer wants it. So now, how do we bring this to market to the contractors? Well, I was at a conference it was April of, I think it was 2022, and they said like, we want e-commerce. And they said, well, Roofle's already doing it. So I said, at that day, we're going to spin this and we're now going to start taking our product and allowing it for contractors. So in April of 2022, we started developing our product, which is RoofQuote Pro. In September, we launched a beta. So we had 50 contractors that wanted to start it and do a beta. We launched that beta. And then in November, actually at RoofCON is when we actually launched the product to everybody as far as contractors themselves, as far as being able to get the product. And now we see it used on a day-to-day basis within roofing contractors. So installing it on their website, and then also the features of rep quotes, which they actually use every day in their selling process. So we have contractors that are giving the tool to their sales reps as they go out in the field to be able to access all this information instantly to be able to give the homeowner more information while actually in the house. So that's kind of the evolution of kind of really where it started. So it kind of started with a roofing contractor having these thoughts as far as like, here's kind of where the future is going, building things out, bringing in the right tech personnel, of taking our minds of being roofing contractors and building it digitally to be able to go sell online. And now, here we are today as far as, the products that we have, released for our contractors.
What's interesting is I feel like this, you didn't come up with anything new, but it's the sense of like, why weren't we doing this in the roofing industry before, right? Because if I go let's say, for example, I need to go buy some insurance for a new car. And I'm going to go online. I'm going to go to XYZ insurance company. And first thing they're going to ask me is they're going to ask me all the details on the car. They're going to ask me details on, everything. And then they'll give me a quote on it right then and there. And it's super scalable, and we've just not really, it's not a widespread thing in the roofing industry, and it just doesn't make any sense why that's not the case, because we're always talking about, I think a lot of contractors talk about, scaling roofing companies and this and that, and it's like, okay, well, if you really want to scale it, part of scaling is you take yourself out of being able to do as many of the day-to-day operations as possible, so that way you can scale at a large scale, so that way it's So systems like these allow you to be able to do those things, but for some reason, I feel like a lot of us struggle taking ourselves out, right? But something like this is huge for being able to do just that.
When I first came on, it was kind of a learning curve for me too, because I kind of knew what they were doing, but not very intimately, and the more I was talking to contractors, the more I heard, and Travis, you hear this all the time too, oh, I wanted to do that, or I started thinking about doing this, and the fact is they never did, and one of the things that has been most intriguing to me, getting acclimated to what these four guys created, is at that point where the homeowner puts in an address on a contractor website, and their home and up to 10 different structures show up already measured. That was a very sophisticated technological achievement that these guys did, and we were pretty excited to be able to announce that's now patent pending on a lot of our software that we built. But like it's something that I think everybody saw and perhaps wanted to go down that way and saw the importance of it, but to actually achieve it was great for me to come in at the 11th hour, and I didn't have to struggle through all the difficulties and the pain and long hours and everything that these guys put in to do it. I just had to sell it. I'm like, dude, I can do that. So it was exciting to join this team, but I really enjoyed joining it when I did, so I didn't have to go through all the hard stuff. I get to do all the fun stuff.
What's funny about that is you just described me perfectly, because we were shopping around for something that did this, and at the time, we didn't find one that was perfect for exactly the way we wanted to do. So we started building one, and the more we spent so much time on it, and we couldn't get it to be. I couldn't get it to the point where I was comfortable getting homeowners to be able to do it in to where I trusted it. And so, and shout out to the team, my team that was working on it. We just didn't get it. But when you guys gave me the demo on yours, I was like, oh wow, these guys got it right. So I haven't used it personally at because I'm not running a roofing company anymore, but from watching the demo, it's great, and you guys got all sorts of different products in there. And I mean, even I saw, it's funny, I think the thing that sparked this is we saw David Summerly post that you guys got EuroShield, and David's a good friend of mine, and I was like, they even got EuroShield on this, which is obviously like not one of the big manufacturers, but still like kind of an up and coming. So I was like, okay, they're thinking outside of the box. They're adding, more products than most other people are. You're just leaving it really open to where basically anyone can just come in and sell just about anything on it. So
that was the goal, and I think that's the biggest thing that when we built this was that it wasn't easy. That's for sure. There was a lot of late nights. There's a lot of hours put in this. There was a lot of failures, that we built, and we said, oh, that didn't work. The homeowner didn't like that. The homeowner didn't want to do it that way, and so it's been tested for many years as we built this thing out. Before we launched it to contractors, there was a lot of A/B testing that was done, and so as we release it now, and we do quick releases, and our team works really, really hard on it, but it's from a lot of trial and error. Yeah, and that's really what it was, figuring out as far as exactly what the homeowner wants. And by design, being very specific on products is really what makes the homeowner more comfortable as far as like, okay, I can see that this is very specific products rather than just being a generic asphalt shingle, because I've seen hundreds of different asphalt shingles out there and they look very, very different. But when you get very, very specific as far as the actual product, they say, oh, that's what my neighbor has. Oh, that's the product that I've seen. So now they can see, and it just becomes more trusting when you're able to add these different products in there. Most homeowners have no idea who a manufacturer is, but they do recognize as far as the difference between a shake and an asphalt and a slate and a metal. They can kind of see the differences in those. And when you show them those differences, then it makes more sense to them. So by design, bringing in, and we actually have a whole team that's actually dedicated to bringing in every single manufacturer and every single product that we possibly can to be able to offer it to all the contractors that do sell those types of products. So again, that's very strategic by design to be able to bring in all these different manufacturers and all these different products. Because again, we want to be as specific as we possibly can for our contractors, because we know they offer very specific products and we want to be able to make them very different from other contractors. So if 10 contractors in a market have this technology, when a homeowner goes there, they could be offering 10 totally different products that they have available on their website to make the experience very, very different as far as when they shop online, which is something we preach to contractors. If you're going to be different and stand out, when you offer this on your website, you have to be able to show the homeowners what you're offering and what makes you different than every other contractor. Maybe it's your warranties, maybe it's your inspections, maybe it's the products that you offer. All the different things on there, they can say, this contractor is much different than the other contractors that I've seen as far as what their offerings are.
Do you see where contractors are, I mean, how far is the homeowner going with this before it gets switched over into a contractor really dealing with, or a homeowner dealing with the contractor? Are you seeing a lot where like they go all the way through the sales process with this, or is it, hey, they're getting a few good options on here and then the contractor comes in and closes the deal and finalizes it?
It's really all across the board. So it's every contractor that becomes a subscriber. As one of the other fun things about doing this is watching what they do with it. So ultimately, in its base form, it's the top of line lead generation tool. But when you start combining that with some of the other amazing technologies in our industry, hook it up to a pro line, or making sure that you're getting that immediate interaction with the customer as they're sitting on the website, putting their address, getting their instant quote. You're already interacting. Well, now you're in the next step down the road. And then when you put that together in a proposal, and maybe you hook that up with Sumo Quote. Now you're continuing down that funnel. So it really depends on the contractor and the creativity and what they're doing. And honestly, it's going to be a learning curve for pretty much every contractor that puts it on their website as to how it fits in their business. Our responsibility is to make sure that they're able to continue with their branding and their value propositions throughout the process so that they can present their actual products, their actual warranties, their story as who they are as a contractor. And then from there, they can do whatever they want. We are going to help them get there to, if they want to go to full e-commerce. But if they just want to use it to gather very qualified, exclusive leads to be able to hand off to their sales team on their visit, they can absolutely accomplish that as well.
I think that's
Go ahead.
really where our strong suit is within our organization, is our educational approach that we take to every contractor, knowing that there is 120,000 roofing contractors that are out there, and every one of them is very different. So we take an approach as far as making sure that our technology is the right fit for that contractor. We take a very educational approach and educating them as far as the ways that you can use it, because there's probably 15, 20 different ways you can use it within your business. So we have to be able to educate them properly and say, here's how you can use it. Which way fits best within your business? Are you set up to take these leads, call them? Do you need digital ways to be able to text them and call them? Like, it's all these things that we talk through with them to say, okay, here's what it's going to take for your business to be successful with it. So let's set those things up. Because again, there is a process associated with this as far as to be successful. Because if you're having customers come in, they want quick responsiveness. So if you can't be quick, you have to figure out as a business, how are you going to be quick? Is it going to be Betty in the office that's going to be there handling these things? Or is it going to be some sort of tech stack you've built out that's automating these text messages / emails / calls that is basically communicating with the homeowner that quickly? So again, every approach is very, very different. And that's where I always tell every contractor when they ask me, how are we successful? It's like, well, it depends on your business. So it all comes down to meeting with us really quickly and kind of going through what your business looks like and how we can actually set it up to make it successful within your business. Because there's ways for everybody to be successful. It just depends as far as how your business is ran.
Yeah. I think that one of the big things is, well, a couple big things from what you guys said. Number one that I really appreciated is that you guys aren't pulling people out to be able to like go to a separate site to be able to do this, because that was one of my first concerns when I saw this from you guys. If I'm a roofing contractor, I want to keep people on my page. I don't want it to look like, hey, this is a third-party service, anything like that. I mean, if I'm using your product, you really can't tell that I'm using some sort of third-party system. It's I build it out and it's on my website and it makes my website look super professional. And then from there, the homeowner never knows that it's some sort of third-party system, which I thought was really, really cool that you guys did that. And then the second thing is that, this like when people are shopping for contractors, you put yourself in someone's shoes, right? Like most of the times they're calling because they either had a big storm, they see leaks, all this stuff, right? So you start calling. How many times have I gone through because I'm looking for I'll use an example outside of roofing. I've been shopping for landscapers recently, and it's impossible finding landscapers. And part of the problem is I got to call 10 different companies for 1-2 companies to call me back, and then I got to actually get them to cut my lawn, see how it works, and if I like them, then I'll keep using them. But I've gone through like the amount of companies I've probably spoken to 30 different companies. I've had 3 companies actually come out and cut my lawn, and I had one that I was happy with. And so all that to say, like, homeowners know, like, your lawn's going to grow, but you only got one chance to get that roof done right. So you want to make the right choice. And if you're going through and you're just calling people to come fix your roof and you've got 10 different companies, like, you want to just nail down someone who you trust that's going to either answer your phone call or whatever else, right? Like, you want to get it nailed down. And if all you have on your website is, hey, just call me to get an appointment set up, and let's say they're calling you at 10 o'clock at night because that's when they got home from work, and you're not answering that phone call, well, now all of a sudden they're just going on to the next person, right? Versus if you have a system like this where someone can go on there at any time of the day and they could just call, or they could just go through, fill out the form, get a quote right then and there, I mean, you are now leaps and bounds above what every other person in your market is doing, which is what you guys were saying of like, you got to differentiate yourself from what everyone else is doing. And that's how you win the customer, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like if I was shopping for landscapers and I just get one, if anyone had a website similar to this, that it was like, hey, enter in your address. Let me measure it. All right, here's how much it's going to cost. We can schedule it out on these days. I would have done that the first day, and I would have not gone through any of the issues that I'm going through now. So all that to say, this is going to help a contractor to be able to stand out, seem professional, and to be able to lock down those people that are shopping around, again, in a super scalable fashion.
And think about it, the amount of marketers and content creators who are all pushing about all of this content that should be on your site and part of your site. Let the people know who you are. Let them know what you know. Let them see some of the previous projects. You're giving an entire experience to a potential consumer of who you are, what you're about, how you function, and your experience and thoughts of the projects themselves before or as you go through this process, and then ending up, by the way, we will give you a very personalized look at what this is going to potentially cost. Contractors are now being able to, and this is very difficult, especially I think in roofing and exterior remodeling, because to actually take yourself out of yourself and put yourself into the shoes of the consumer. What does my consumer for a project like this to cost? So, and in the end of the most important part of this whole thing is it's in a controlled environment. Contractors are spending a lot of money on their marketing and branding and their social media presence and their online presence. It's all in a very controlled environment to where they control the message, rather than leaving it up to, a guy that's been with the company for a couple of weeks and, hey, go sell this roof, and you have no idea what they're saying and promising the customer. And so that's where I think this is why the evolution is happening, and it's happening so quickly within the roofing industry.
Yeah. And that's something that there's a lot that we could spend a whole lot of time on this topic, is that I recently had shopped for cleaning services for my house recently. And it's like I had to call 6 people, 2 actually only showed up. I had no idea how much this was going to cost me until they actually got to the house. But really all I really cared about was what this cost was going to be. So taking into the account that 70% of consumers, before they even go and do a project, they have no idea what it's going to cost. They don't even know if it's 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000. So they want some sort of idea of what they're getting into. So we take those things into account, giving them the ease of actually knowing, number one, what this contractor is about. Now, had you searched these landscapers, Diego, and you went online and saw, wow, these guys have all this information about the cuts they do, the types of cuts they do, what their scheduling is like, what I can expect to pay, all this information. You're giving that consumer all the education. And at that point, they're much more likely to convert and say, I'm going to consider this guy because he's given me so many useful tools as a consumer. I'm much more educated, so I feel very comfortable with calling this guy out. And then it comes up with your approach afterwards. How fast do you call them? How fast do you come out, making your appointment? So there's much more that goes into it than just the tool itself and all these cool things, but you're going to get much more conversions when you give more features to the homeowner that makes them more comfortable over somebody else who just says, call me, book an appointment, something like that, because you're giving them all these tools. And we deal with this on a day-to-day basis. No matter, and everyone's been there, whether it's landscaping or construction projects, for everybody wants ease of use as much as possible to know, as far as number one, how much am I going to pay? What could I expect to pay? Number two, who am I calling? What am I getting myself into when I call this person out to my house?
Yeah. Now, Travis, you said that you ran a roofing company before. Is that right?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Hoffman Weber Construction.
Which market?
It was in Denver. Yep, Denver, Colorado.
Cool.
Yep.
So what was that experience like, and what made you really, so I'm guessing now you're just full-time working on Roofle. What was that experience like, running a roofing company, and what made you, make the jump?
Yeah, it was kind of a jump that was necessary. Again, it was our leadership team at Harvego Construction that essentially designed and built this thing. So for really 2 years, I was working 2 jobs. I was doing that and doing this at the same time. So we were double dutying the whole thing. because we had to build it, right? So we had our day jobs, essentially running a roofing company, managing a roofing company, and then we were doing this also on the side, building this. We did have some components and people that were working on this solely without them being involved with the other company, but it really kind of went hand in hand together. And really for me, I enjoyed running a roofing company. I mean, again, my story is that I started as a canvasser, came out of college and working as a canvasser and worked my way up through that business, through the ranks to get to essentially the top of really that company. So I lived and worked in every one of those duties or jobs that we had there. So I cared about everybody in that organization, knowing like I worked that job, I did that job, I know what it takes. And so it was like a family. It was one of the biggest family run companies I've ever been a part of. And fortunately, they also care about their employees and have built things within there to make their employees improve, where you can actually come in and actually get higher up positions and things like that. So it's a great organization. And to be part of this development of Roofle, I was truly blessed to have the people on my team to work with to actually come together and have everybody be just as motivated as I was to make this happen, and to be just as passionate about it as I was to actually make this happen. So when the time came where it's like, whoa, this is really taking off, this is actually becoming a real thing, like we need people to come work on Roofle full time. Like that's how busy we are. It's really taking off. I was like, you know what? It's a different change. I've been doing roofing for about 11 years. I was in the roofing industry for about 11, almost 12 years. And I was like, you know what? It's an interesting change. I became passionate about this project because I've been in it day to day running it. So I was like, you know what? I'll go over there full time. I will put someone else in charge over here, and I'll go work over here full time. And that was about 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago now, that I essentially came over here and started working here full time. And it's exciting. It's been exciting ever since. I'm big on culture is really the thing. And when you start a new company, especially a tech company that's 100% remote, we are 100% remote company. How do you build a culture? Right? Culture is a big thing within an organization. So at my last company, the culture was already kind of built because it was already there by the time I came in. But still, you kind of build and groom a culture to where it's a very big family type culture. Everyone hangs out in the afternoon after work, and very, very family like. This at Roofle, we had to build our own culture and just kind of naturally formulated to the fun that we have today. And so we just kind of let everybody be themselves. When we bring on somebody, we hire them for them, and we say, we're going to teach you what our software does and what our end goal is and what our mission is. But at the end of the day, we hired you to be you. Don't change who you are. We brought you on because we see you as a perfect fit within our organization. We do our due diligence, and we make sure we do multiple interviews to say, yes, they're a great fit here. So when we bring you in, don't change yourself. Do what you want to do, and that's how we have the great culture we have today. So as I look back now, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm doing it. But it is a scary turn to go from roofing and that whole industry to basically tech. It is, quite the change for sure.
Yeah, I went from roof. I feel like my whole career's been I started out framing right after high school, went into sales, got into marketing, got into roofing, so kind of back into into construction. Got into RoofCON, went back into roofing, back at RoofCON. So I get it, man. But that's exciting.
It's an industry that always sucks you back in. Roofing is something that it's a beautiful industry. I love it. And that's why we do what we do, is because we love the contractors. We love the industry. We love everything about it. It's a very different industry than anything else out there. If you go into healthcare or other industries that are out there, it's much different than those. And we have a lot of fun in this industry, and it's a great industry. It's an industry where you can make a lot of money. There's no secret about that. Everybody knows that you can make a lot of money if you do things in the right ways. It's a great industry. It's a fun industry to be a part of, and that's why it tends to kind of pull you back in that direction. No matter how much you leave and get away from it, you always kind of find your way to kind of go back to it, which is a beautiful thing about what I do. Is I'm involved with roofers and contractors every single day. I'm just on the technology side of it, so it's very different. It's very, very fun. So I can see your viewpoint as far as you go here, you're back here, you go here, you go, because it's something that it's a great industry, and it's just fun to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the rapid fire part of the interview, because I have a series of rapid fire questions. Now, the cool thing is I've not done a virtual interview where I've had two guests before, so we'll get to I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to get each of you to answer the same questions. Now, the rules are they're quick questions. I want you to answer the first thing that comes to your mind, but you don't have any sort of time restriction as long as you just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind, all right?
This is dangerous.
It's
So
very dangerous.
I'm gonna let Mike go first on these. All right, because he's spoken a little less this time. So all right. So this is the Rise Above show. We talk about people rising above in business and life and all these things. So what were some of the obstacles that you had to rise above from to get to the point that you're at, either in business or in your career?
Yeah, in fact, I just posted about it a little bit ago, that a couple days ago, about the failures, and I had some pretty significant failures that both personally and professionally, and it forces you to grow, and you can use failures to get down on yourself, or use it to say I'm just not good enough, or you can view failures as that's what I needed to stretch myself and to go beyond. And so, from owning my own roofing company back in the 2008, 9, 10, where I kind of knew that I was limited myself. I wasn't going to be growing a massive company. I was doing a lot of my own work, but making that jump to manufacturing, and then completely recreating what I felt the typical manufacturer rep was like over a 13-year career on the manufacturing side. And then, again, critical, massive failure. It happens, right? And then to be picked up and then reinvent. Be creative, reinvent yourself. You're never going to be a failure, ever.
I love it. So wait. So you started a roofing company in 2008?
Oh, 1992. I started roofing in 1992.
I thought you said
I was self-employed,
Okay.
but I did start my company in 2000. In 2000, I shut it down in 2010, 2011.
I gotcha. Okay. Travis, what you got? What's obstacles you had to rise above from?
I would say overcoming the doubters. Or the people that essentially had said to us, that's never going to be a thing. It's never going to work. This is roofing. It's way too complex. There's way too many components. I mean, we had so many doubters early on, and the comments we would get when we first launched Roofle.com, doubting it and shutting it down and saying that, all these negative things, about it, using that as fuel, using that as motivation to say, like, we believe that this is going to be a thing, and we're going to build the most badass platform that you have out there for, being able to convert, e-commerce. And so using that as fire. And I've done it all my life. Even me coming in at 21 years old, selling remodel projects to these 60-year-old engineers, they always doubted me and said, "You're way too young to know anything about this." And say, like, "Yeah, we don't trust you. We need the guy with the gray hair." So it's always been me. It's always been motivation for me as the people that have always said, "Nah, no way, that's not going to happen." So overcoming the doubters, and we've had plenty of it. We've had a lot of it, over the last couple of years, as far as saying, like, there's just no way this is actually going to be a thing, and keeping that as motivation, and keeping it the team motivated as well, because our team probably hears it as well, and keeping their mission very, very focused on what we're doing, and they see it. And everyone's behind us as well. So just staying motivated for all the doubters that are out there.
I love that so much. When we put on the first RoofCon, the amount of hate comments that we had in our roofing and solar community group, this one is kind of funny now because me and him are kind of friends now. But at the time he posted, I'm not going to shout him out, but he posted, "You MFers are turning the roofing industry into a cult, and it's real sad." While we were hosting RoofCon, big post in the group, got so much engagement, and we're like, it happened after all these other people were just talking crap about what we were doing, and so we said, all right, what can we do from this? So we started, we shared his post from the actual RoofCon page. And it's turned into this whole thing now where, like, we've got we made shirts with his quote on it, and then it had a QR code and it said "scan to join the cult." And anyway, so using
you should call him out. This is the time to call him out.
Like, no,
come on, just we.
So he knows who he is, and like I said, me and him are buddies now. So we've come full circle. He actually came to RoofCon last year and talked about how awesome it was. So it's all good. That's the thing, is like, use what those people are saying as fuel to the fire to keep going, right? Instead of just getting upset when one person says a negative thing. I was going through the podcast stuff the other day, and I had a single person without a name or anything just put a 1-star on it, and it bumped me out for like a full hour. I was bummed out about it. And I was like, I don't even know who this person is, you know? And using that stuff as fuel to the fire to keep going. I love it. All right, so next question is a 2-part question. Mike, we'll start off with you again. It is, what is the last book that you read, and what is the best book that you've read?
Oh, I'm a big best book. So I get really nerdy about the Bible. Most people know me as a code guy on in building construction code in the IRC. I have a lot of that, practically memorized. But my approach to the Bible is very similar. So some people may not know that, but absolutely love that. And the one thing is the book that I read last, and really honing in on one message, one thing, be great at one thing at a time. That was the last book that I read.
Who wrote that?
Who did write that? I had a spider just dropped in front of me. That's pretty cool. I'll have to get back. I don't know who wrote it.
It's all good. Just text it to me later so we can put it on
the one thing. It's called The One Thing.
Okay, cool.
Pretty popular business book. So,
Travis, last book, best book.
I always go back to the Grant Cardone books. I always think that they're some of the best books that they've kind of, in a lot of different ways. I like how they resonate with you personally, and then kind of tie it to like sales. So I think it's like what the best one I think I read from that was like, sell or be sold, something like that. But he takes his life and puts it into a way as far as you can very, very resonate as far as like sales and all these different processes within his life, and then being able to follow Grant Cardone. Is fantastic. So I'm a huge fan of Grant Cardone's book, and just the way that he writes and the way that he presents his books. I think that they're great. They're great. I think the most recent one was Be Best Self. I'm always about self-improvement and being the best person that I can be and improving myself in any way that I possibly can. I know that I can always be better in a lot of ways. So any sort of self-help books to where I can improve myself, maybe my leadership, just personally, whether it be in fitness or whether it just be in health or it be just, my leadership and everything else like that. I always try to be the best person I could possibly be. So
love it. All right. So next question is, if you had $1 billion exit with a B, what would you be doing the next 24 hours?
I'm a cheapskate, man. I would I would put it away. I grew up on a small farm in Iowa, and I would, man, I don't know, but I wouldn't stop working.
What do your 24 hours look like right after money hits the account?
Oh, dude, pay off debt and just. No, and strategize what my next move is going to be. I love working for Roofle because it allows me to be very creative, and have I don't know. It would probably look very unique, but no, I don't. I'm not a crazy guy that goes out and just blows money. I would throw it in the bank and sit and figure out what my next move was going to be. Very strategic, but very unique.
This is a fun question because I really get to discover people this way, like figure out how people are by asking them. So Travis, what about you? If you had $1 billion exit, what do you do in the next 24 hours?
24 hours is not enough time for me. So you got to learn a little bit about me. Okay. So it takes me at least 2 to 3 weeks to buy something. I got to research it about 26 times before I actually buy something. So that $1 billion is still going to be sitting there by the time I make any sort of purchase. I'm going to be doing a lot of researching, whether it may be investment properties or debt I'm going to be paying off as far as what I'm going to do. But as far as making any sort of moves, that's not happening in the first 24 hours. So I think it's going to be the same routine. I'm going to go to sleep at night and I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to get on my daily calls that I have with my team. And then meanwhile, when I have some time, I'm going to be researching the things I'm going to buy. Because again, I don't make fast decisions for the most part as far as purchasing things. Maybe in business and things like that, whenever I come with something, I'll make, quick decisions that way. But as far as purchases, I do a little too much research before I make any sort of purchases. So I don't think I'll be buying anything too quickly.
Yeah. So I'm the same way. But I would definitely, I feel like my 24 hours after would be figuring out where I'm going to go on vacation to celebrate. I feel like that's my, if nothing else, like I'm not going to go out and buy fancy stuff, but I'm definitely going to be booking some fun vacations to celebrate. So
Yeah, I don't mind traveling, but I'm not a vacation guy. I'll take a week of vacation every 2 years. Travis, how much vacation have I taken so far this year? Maybe a day or two here or there.
Maybe a day or two.
Yeah,
And I live in Florida, so where am I supposed to go on vacation? So it's like I feel like I'm on vacation almost every day when I go to my backyard and sit by the pool. I mean, so it's hard for me to say I'm going on vacation. Yeah, I kind of live on vacation for the most part.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. All right, well, guys, we appreciate you guys coming on the show. I'm like I said, I give you guys a big shout out because I think what you guys have developed is really, really cool, and you know, we didn't set this up as, you know, any sort of deliverable for sponsorship or anything like that. It literally was like, hey, I like your product, I want to talk about it, because I truly do think it's really cool what you guys put together. But I will say, if people are coming to RoofCON, you guys will be there. You guys can meet these guys, and if you don't want to wait that long, because obviously we still got several months till then, and people want to check it out, where do they go? Where can they find out more about this?
And you can go to Roofle.com. There'll be a link there where they can book a demo, or they can go to roofquotepro.com, and then they can schedule their demo there as well. So people get those confused sometimes. There's Roofle, which is the company, and then RoofQuote Pro, which is the product that we sell.
Yeah.
So those are two places you can go and book a demo. And then come to RoofCon, we'll be there, and then we'll also be releasing our new shirts. Our new shirts are going to be great. You don't want to miss out on getting one of these. I promise you.
Oh, now I'm excited.
Yes.
So, and then follow these guys on social media, Travis, Mike. We'll tag their social media on the video. Mike, like I said, says he's not an influencer, but puts out good content out on the internet. So, guys, appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of the Rise Above Show, presented by RoofCON. Peace out.